Herzlich willkommen im
Welcome to the Foreign Office, the press conference of the German Foreign Minister with her Lithuanian colleague. The minister will be speaking in German. Her colleague will be speaking English. And once the live stream is ready and the cameras are ready, Minister, you have the floor. Good afternoon. My colleague Kęstutis, welcome to Berlin. It is great that you are here today on this special day where all eyes are on Washington and we can show Europe is united. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to Berlin because Lithuania and Germany stand firmly side by side. We not only share common values, but we also work together. Hardly any other country in Europe feels the danger posed by the war in Ukraine to all in Europe as immediately as you in Lithuania do. You not only share a border with Russian Kaliningrad, but also with the war supporter Belarus. Lithuania, the Baltics, are in the front line in the truest sense of the word. And to be honest, I recall very well my first visit in spring 2022, right after the brutal war of aggression against Ukraine started. And I recall the question of a female pupil who asked me, can we rely on Germany? Can we rely on us? Will you be there when we need you? And to be honest, this was a question that I have carried with me for a long time because it expressed that there was a concern that it might not be the case. So for me, it was so important in Lithuania and also in the 3 years all over Europe, especially in Central Europe, to make it clear that the security of Lithuania and the Baltics is our security, our German security as well. We illustrate this not only with the brigade that we have established together in Lithuania, with which we strengthen the eastern flank of NATO, our own flank, so to say, but also with our close and strong cooperation within the European Union. Together, we stand up for our peace in Europe. Together, we stand side by side for Ukraine because it is the best protection for all of us. And this cooperation is important, especially also as littoral states at the Baltic Sea. It is more crucial than ever. Our Baltic Sea area has become a major theater of geopolitical tensions, unfortunately, over the last 3 years. And this includes concrete military threats like last week when the fire control radar of a Russian surface-to-air missile system locked onto a French patrol aircraft in its crosshairs. This also includes hybrid threats that have reached an unprecedented scope. Hybrid sounds innocent and somehow technical, but the dangers it describes are real, they are concrete, and they affect us all. Hybrid threats work like thousands of individual needle pricks that one hardly feels, but altogether they are a brutal attack on our way of life, our infrastructure, and our democracies. This list could be continued forever. Cyber attacks that take down government websites, fake news that eat their way through social media like a virus, targeted refugee flows instrumentalized to sabotage our social cohesion, undersea cables that are being damaged, parcels with explosives in logistics hubs, jammed GPS signals, and so forth. With what looks like a coincidence or an accident can turn out to be a deliberate act of sabotage. And I'm saying it can be, because this is part of the hybrid strategy we see. It is also about concealing who is responsible. It is also about leaving it open whether it could just have been negligence. Destabilization, where you do not immediately know whether it was a hybrid attack, is part of the strategy of hostile actors. we confront these hybrid threats together with full determination. Within the EU, Germany will make concrete proposals to make Europe more resilient. The following points that we have also discussed are essential. Firstly, we need to be able at any time to react swiftly and strongly on the basis of a reliable situational picture. We will therefore enhance the exchange of information between member states with a systematic reporting system and smoother cooperation between the EU and NATO. Secondly, in order to enhance our resilience as the EU against attacks on all levels, we also need the economy. This means that we need to regularly include companies in exercises and stress tests. Thirdly, we are strengthening our partnerships. In Moldova and the Western Balkans, we see firsthand how Russia, for example, uses disinformation campaigns trying to influence elections and destabilize countries. And this is, again, no coincidence. It is no coincidence that these attacks are targeted specifically against candidates for EU membership. And we will make our joint CSDP missions hybrid ready so that they are ready to deal with hybrid attacks, hybrid tactics. And finally, we will increase sanctions against hybrid tactics. Because if we can clearly name perpetrators, if the attribution procedure can be launched, we can draw consequences. So this is why we act so rigorously against vessels of the Russian Shadow Fleet, where we as the European Union have already sanctioned 79 vessels. Because through its fleet of rusty tankers, Russia not only finances its illegal war of aggression against Ukraine, it also threatens our environment in very concrete terms. This is what we've seen with the oil tanker adrift off Rügen, because an oil disaster due to negligence or an accident hits first and foremost us. The national security strategy of the federal government has shown clearly that in Germany we see security as a holistic topic, from cybersecurity to the protection of critical infrastructure. Domestic and external security go hand in hand. And we cannot teach you any lessons here. We are learning from you in this area. We are learning a lot together. We are learning a lot from Lithuania, because the Baltics have long understood these dangers. And I'm saying this again. They have repeatedly warned against a gas pipeline like Nord Stream 2 not only being an economic project. So together with Estonia and Latvia, we will soon be synchronizing with continental European energy grids and will decouple from the energy grid with Russia and Belarus. Shows how determined you are in your actions. And this, again, is a role model within the European Union. Distinguished colleague Kęstutis, no other issue has taught our two countries so closely together as our joint support for Ukraine in recent years. And I'm speaking on behalf of both of us when I say that Europe continues to stand firmly by Ukraine's side. And I'm also saying this with regard to the new US administration. Europe shoulders responsibility for our own security, and we will continue to fully support Ukraine, especially when it comes to the different facets that we all address. We have 27 European member states. This diversity is our strength when we stand together and work together. This is why safeguarding peace means Europe united instead of my country first. Europe united. That means that we act together, we work together as Europeans strongly, and this is our German responsibility in a strategic dimension, as partners, and with self-confidence. So it is very important that we invest in our own strength as the European Union, and that we do so strongly. We can be strategic, we can be partners, and we can be self-confident. Because showing this confidence and determination shows that we are a central partner for cooperation and for negotiations across the globe. What is important is our own European strength. In that spirit, I would like to thank you for the trust-based exchange that we had today, and I'm looking forward to our cooperation in the future. Thank you.
Dear Annalena, thank you very much for your warm welcome. And dear friends, good afternoon, guten Tag. This is my first visit as of the Minister of the Foreign Affairs of Lithuania to Germany, to Berlin. And the very reason I'm here, and it's one of the first ones that I'm traveling on bilateral basis, is to stress once again the importance, the crucial importance of our cooperation, not only for our countries only, for the region, but for the whole Europe. As in the recent years, our bilateral security and defense cooperation reached new significance and new levels and a new depth. We are the role model also to show how we should proceed further to the future. We are both, as Annalena already stressed and I mentioned, we're both strong supporters of Ukraine. We see the future of Europe in the same light. If we do not have the sustainable, long-term, security and strength within Ukraine, there will not be any security for the others in Europe. This is the very, very essential part of what is going on right now and in the future. For that purpose, for supporting Ukraine, we have to continue. As we already do. We really appreciate Germany's contribution and part in it. It's a huge one. From our side, we are committing a long years and a long-term commitment of 0.25% of our GDP for the security and defense needs of Ukraine. And that's the bottom. But the main message here is the time. For how long? And it's not till the agreement is reached, not till the victory, but for the 10 years, it means beyond any future decisions. And this is how we should approach Ukraine and approach our future assistance. Another part that is really important is to keep pressuring Russia's war machine and trying to cripple it further and to limit their capabilities to wage continuously the war against Ukraine. That's why sanctions are important. We have to expand on those and building up from the 15th sanction package up further to the 16th package. We have to include export of the energy resources, to include LNG and also nuclear power companies and also individuals related to it, and also increase the import tariffs, all the list that we already have. Shadow fleet. That's additional instrument of hybrid activities against us in the Baltic Sea. This is a huge source of threats, different type of to our environment, to our countries that are around the Baltic Sea, but it's also the big instrument of disrupting our daily routines, be it data through the data cables flows, or be it electricity for us, that as we depend on also on the cables on the bottom of the sea. So for that reason, we have to increase not only awareness, but also the tools that we use in preventing it and also in countering it and responding. And the very recent decision to increase the naval presence in the Baltic Sea, that's one of the response measures and one of the security measures that is badly needed. Further on, we have to invest even further. And looking into the whole picture of the threats that Minister already described, it's from cyber disinformation to the disruption. It's also the sabotage operations. Each time we miss the opportunity to respond, from Russia's side, there was further escalation. And they're further testing our softest spots and building on it, building tension in our societies, trying to create the sense that we are not in the control of what is going on, we are not in control of the security situation, that our involvement with Ukraine is too far and that we should stop and think about ourselves. That's the narrative coming from Russia. We have to stop it, and to stop it is to show that we can prevent it and we can to respond to it. So we talked today also about the shadow fleet, and the further tools from our side that we will develop, and talking about our bilateral relations and security cooperation. Of course, the one big development that caused all the also consequences in other fields, that was the decision by Germany to deploy a brigade in Lithuania. That was bilateral commitment also on our side to invest into infrastructure and prepare everything as the host nation for the deployment till the end of 2027. That is the pilot and I would say project for whole cooperation that we have in Europe within the NATO, showing the strength of the commitment and also the strength in decisiveness also in allocating the resources. That is the resources to be allocated for Germany. We understand and appreciate that. That's also for Lithuania. And with the very recent news of the increase of defense spending, we are sending the message that we are doing our part of it thoroughly, and when we announced about the preparation of our division in the land forces to be prepared and war capable till 2030, we meant that. So after the different calculations and assessments what we need for it to be war capable, we decided to increase the spending till 2030, and that will be the number around 5.5% of our GDP. What it would mean for you, it would mean that our forces will be able to fight and hold the control of the land of our country, and also to prepare everything that is needed to host the reinforcement that will come after. So this is how we contribute to overall the security of the NATO eastern frontier, and we will continue on this in the future. So once again, thank you very much for your warm welcome and for the consultations and discussions that we had. I'm really looking forward into continuing in the same very approach. Thank you, Annalena.
Vielen Dank. Mit Blick auf die Anschlusstermine haben wir jetzt noch Zeit.
We have questions for 3 brief questions. Ms. Buse, RTL, has the first question. Thank you, Heike Buse, NTV, RTL. Ministers, I have a question to both of you regarding Donald Trump, who is taking office in these minutes or these hours. Which are the expectations you have vis-a-vis the American president? Maybe some hopes also regarding international conflicts. We have just seen that he has had a certain influence on the situation in the Middle East. Do you have any hopes that he might be helpful in other conflicts as well, for example, in Ukraine?
Thank you. Of course, we are preparing for a new administration that is about to start the duties today. We are hoping for constructive relations. We're still looking forward to the certain positions will be fulfilled. We will see who will be number 2, number 3, and number 4, with whom to have the contacts. We are ready for it. We're ready to discuss all the different issues and challenges, what concerns NATO's future and security, what concerns stopping the aggression of Russia. That's one of our also messages. It's not only about the war that has to be stopped in Ukraine. That's about aggression that has to be stopped, and aggression has its origins, it has its instruments, conditions, and also the factors of the success. So we have to eliminate all of this. That's a big topic with the new administration, and of course talking about the Ukraine and the need to continue in supporting it. One of the elements of those discussions and one of the successes that we already have to share is our bilateral cooperation with Germany, and with real appreciation I describe how your government took responsibilities and with the increased presence in the Baltics, showing that it's our joint commitment and joint interest to protect, and this is the spirit of the alliance, and this is the spirit of partnership. So we are really looking forward in continuing in it, because what we preserved and what we used as the success during these last 3 years, that was the unity, and when we are united, we are so much stronger. So we have to keep on it.
The US are our most important ally, and we will work closely together with the new US administration. And just as the new US administration, of course, we as Europeans make political decisions on the basis of our own European and German interests. the more domestic strength and unity we can show as the European Union, the more essential we are as a partner for cooperation and negotiations. So we are not naive. Of course, there will be differing opinions with US policy under the new president, for example, when it comes to climate, trade, and the international order. With regard to some remarks that have been made, we obviously have a different point of view. So we Europeans need to stand on our own feet here, and we need to more strongly protect our own freedom and our peace. But I'm also just as convinced that if we all want to work together, we will find ways with the US to address the big challenges of our times. And with our new colleague, Marco Rubio, who has just been at the Senate, I do see some overlaps when it comes to China, European security, and also peace through strength for Ukraine and for our European peace order. And I think we made it clear today that as representatives of the European Union, we as the EU do everything we can to make our own contribution. DPA. Ministers, I have another question on possible peace negotiations that Mr. Trump has announced to happen very quickly for Ukraine. Where do you see a lever for Germany and Europe so that they are not being overlooked or left out when a solution for peace will be found? And a second very concrete question. Mr. Trump's spokesperson said today that immediately after taking office, he will rename the Gulf of Mexico into Gulf of America. Is that a good idea? Well, I think we made it clear that Europe is self-confident. With 150 million people, we are the biggest single market on the planet. And over the last years, we have made it clear that we need to stand up more strongly for our own security. As Europeans, we have also made it clear that it is in our very own, that it is in the very own vested interest for the US if we strengthen transatlantic cooperation and work together for peace, especially on the European continent. And as has been said already, we will work with the designated foreign minister, Mr. Rubio, after the hearing in the Senate, or in the hearing of the Senate. It was highlighted how important European security is. The NATO Secretary General has already traveled to the US for talks, and of course, European security can only happen with Europeans and not above the heads of Europeans, and especially not above the heads of the Ukrainians. And over recent months, we have seen that remarks have changed, and also most recently, there have been clear messages that it is obvious that we need to work together in this regard. And we do not need to comment on every individual thing. We focus on the big important questions for us as Europeans.
Thank you. One of the main things, and when there is agreement that the future of aggression as such in the world will depend how the aggression against Ukraine will end. When understanding this, from this you can build then on all the steps and necessary conditions for the right peace. And thinking about it, for us is extremely important, not only because of the direct military threats coming from Russia, but also about the rules, whether we have any of those left, and about the accountability of the crimes of aggression in the future. So there are many elements involved into it that we care about and that we are very vocal about. And looking into the last 3 years and seeing Germany as being country number 2 with overall support to Ukraine, if you take the region, so Nordic Baltic countries, MBA, that was number 2 after US as the region. So, and we are committed to continue it in the future. So we have all the reasons and all the right to be also heard at the table when we will have this discussion about what will be in the future of Europe, because the consequences will be immediately on us. So we have also, our part in it. What will be the model? What is the criteria of the sustainability of the peace, that's that's to be discussed. And of course, it's not the fast solution here. And this is additional reason why we have to continue with what we are doing. Continue supporting Ukraine till we get there. Thank you.
Letzte Frage, Frau Jansen von ProSieben.
Guten Tag, Herr Außenminister.
Foreign Ministers, Madam Foreign Minister, could you say something about the 3 billion euros in military support for Ukraine? Do you think there will be an agreement before the elections? And how do you see the Chancellor's remarks of today saying that regarding the financing, the German people has been lied to? Well, to be very serious here, I think these times are too challenging. Germany bears too much responsibility for us to just engage in election campaign rhetoric here. It is essential for trust in Europe whether we are able, in the interest of our own security and European security, we're able to act. And this is what we have discussed in detail today with other European neighboring countries. We have given our word to other neighboring countries. I, as the federal foreign minister, the Minister of Defense, the Chancellor, that we will stand by Ukraine's side as long as it needs us, and of course also by the side of our Central European partners. So it is very important that, especially in difficult moments, we continue to implement that, not only today, but also in the different discussions with my colleagues. There are questions being raised whether Germany will continue to live up to its responsibility. And as the German foreign minister, I want to say, yes, we do. The security of Eastern Europe, of Central Europe, the security of our immediate neighboring countries, peace in freedom for Ukraine, this is our own German security. So investment in peacekeeping and peace building are investments in our own security. We know that the Budget Committee will be meeting next week. We are preparing this meeting today together with the Ministry of Defense, of course. Thank you very much for your attention.